core connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. Let's start our time together today by just taking a deep breath in. Hold it for a second or two, and as you release it, release all the tension that might be in your neck or your shoulders, your back, your hips, and take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a second or two, and as you exhale, just relax and come present to this moment right here, right now. Let's take our hands and gently place our palms together and rub your fingers just slowly and lightly against your palms. Feel the tingling in your palms and on your fingertips, and allow that to bring you present to this moment. Welcome. It's Friday, and I'm really excited to share. We're going to talk about unified physics. Well, not really. I am taking an online course with Nassim Haramein, and it's a free course that's available. So if you want to check it out, it's at Resonance Academy, I think. But it's fabulously interesting to me. And the first module of the course is talking about worldview. So what we're really going to talk about is worldview, because I find it truly, truly fascinating how far-reaching a prevalent paradigm is for our worldview. So here, particularly in the Western world, our worldview is based in separation. And when we talk about separation, if you look at science, and all of this conversation emerges from a conversation of science, the way that traditional science works before we got into quantum physics is really with the notion of a mechanistic universe, where if we break things down to smaller and smaller pieces and components, that we can figure it out, and that the universe is kind of random and there's no particular intelligence that's guiding it and organizing it. And this is sort of the foundation of science, and that everything is discrete, in other words, separate from everything else. And the contrast in the first lesson of this course is a unified universe as opposed to a separate universe. And so just looking at the ramifications of our science and our medicine and our industry, this notion of the universe kind of being a machine that has no life of its own, that has no guiding intelligence or unifying intelligence, feeds into everything. So our medicine looks at, oh, here's a problem, we can fix it. There's a problem with this organ, let's take it out, instead of looking at the whole system as a unified system that is all interconnected. And we see that in science. We see it in the way that we approach each other, or had before this virus. To a large degree, people were separate from each other, and if we were part of a universe, and obviously people here on Enlightened World Network have a more spiritual foundation, but I think that so many people in the world just feel like we're spinning around on this ball, and life is what life is, and when it's over, it's over, and we're separate from each other, and that that breeds a notion uh, of lack of responsibility for one another and for our environment, and uh, we can just continue to live life without any connection or consequence. This is on one extreme when we're talking about the separateness notion. And on the other end of the spectrum is the notion that there is actually an ether, and this is a really, really old idea that science is actually coming back to, that there is an ether that connects all things. So all particles, all people, and if we think of the butterfly effect, the butterfly effect is really talking about a unified global connection between all things, so microcosm and macrocosm. And when we go to moving into the idea of connection and being unified, then things change. All of a sudden, we are connected to one another. We are connected to our planet. We are part of a bigger whole for which our actions have consequence. If we look at the business models that we've had as a prevalent paradigm in our country, in the U.S., money, well, in globally actually, money is more important than anything, and people can pursue money without consequence or without considering the consequence to other people, communities, the planet, etc. When we look at things from a unified vantage point, then everything that we do impacts everything else, and we are impacted by everything else, and therefore it breeds a deeper sense of not only connection but responsibility. So I think it's a really, really interesting concept to be looking at how the evolution of science trickles into every aspect of human culture, and it goes to the very values. It impacts our worldview, impacts our values, impacts our behaviors, impacts our structures and our systems. And there's so much talk, even before the virus, of evolution into a new humanity that has this greater awareness and connection with the whole, with the organism, that the universe is alive and teeming with intelligence. And I just am so excited by this concept, and beyond the concept, the fact that science, which has in so many ways become a religion in and of itself, with so much dogma and prejudice within science, I love seeing that it's expanding into a recognition of what so many of us who are spiritually oriented have known in our hearts and souls for so long, but to be seeing it moving into a broader mainstream, still fringy, but moving into a broader mainstream consciousness. So I invite you to check out this Resonance Academy and Nassim Haramein. He is a unified physicist, and he makes these concepts quite approachable, and there's such deep philosophy in the way that he presents his information. So it's rich and hopeful, and have fun. Come play with me with this. And it's Friday, so announcements. I have some announcements. Well, we had the debut of the Broader Edge podcast yesterday. Hi, Brenda. Thanks so much for being here. And the podcast airs live on Facebook on Enlightened World Network, alternate Thursdays. So yesterday was the first day, or last evening was the first time, 5 p.m. Eastern. We had a blast, and we're just getting started. So it's really exciting. I hope you'll enjoy joining us, and that was awesome. And we also, I have a podcast called Sustainability Now, which is oriented toward sustainability relating to food, housing, energy, waste, water, health, economics, and consciousness, because we need to shift consciousness in order to do what we need to do. And that's part of this unified theory thing that I love the connection for, because we are, as we shift our notion of what reality is based in science, for example, then it feeds into everything else and shifts our consciousness as well and our worldview. So please join us for the Broader Edge. Check it out. Watch the replay. Give us comments. Terry Angel is one of my co-hosts, so it's Terry Angel, Liz Williams, and Sheila Cash, and we come from different places in our orange, complement each other beautifully. So it's really going to be fun and lively. But one of the things that Terry Angel brought up is that she has started an initiative. I think it's called Love Notes. I think it's lovenotes.me is the initiative or the website for it. And what the invitation is to write a letter to yourself about this time and this time of COVID, and what changes you've made in your life that enrich you, that you want to maintain as life finds a new normal coming out of this virus. So I invite you to check it out, and if I gave you the wrong URL, I'll find out about it and tell you more about it in the future. But it's a two-pronged initiative. The first is to write a love letter essentially to yourself, to share and remember. And this is handwritten, because there's a lot more energy that goes into handwriting something than creating it digitally. So the encouragement is to handwrite these letters to yourself, and then to write letters of love and caring to others that are in isolation. So there are so many people in nursing homes or hospitals, or who just live by themselves, that are starved for connection and attention, and we can share love with them with a note that goes beyond email. That's something that they can actually hold in their hands and read and enjoy. So I encourage you to check that out. And that is it for today. So it's Friday. I hope to see you again on Monday. I wish you a wonderful weekend, and maybe you can check out Nassim Harameyn's Unified Physics course, which for me is super fun. Always dreamt of having my own personal physicist to get to understand how the universe works. And also check out lovenotes.me. I think that's the URL, which is Terry Angel's initiative that we're also promoting from the Broader Edge. Anyway, much love to you, great compassion, and I'll see you next week.